I'm tired. So tonight I really, really, really am just doing an hour show. I don't really think well I wouldn't want to push it anyway. Because I want to give you guys good information. And if I'm gonna start forgetting stuff because I'm tired, then that's not good. Where we left off in part one, we was already discussing the divide of Israel, right? And by the way, if you just this show just randomly popped up on your feed and you're like, yo, what is this about? Because you see the title, Erase Pages, The War on Memory and History. Um, we're talking about how throughout time books keep being burned and people keep trying to erase history. That's what we're talking about, right? I'm just decided to go back a little bit further. Yesterday, if you didn't catch part one, we spoke about how in 2003, when the United States was supposed to be going, actually, they were supposed to be going to, I don't know what they were supposed to be doing. Let me rephrase that. Allegedly, we had got attacked and bin Laden was behind it, but bin Laden is not from Iraq. So to this day, they say bin Laden he was the mastermind behind that. To this day, no one knows why. Soon as we got the green light, we just went to Iraq. I mean, it don't take a lot. It don't really take a lot of thinking to figure it out, right? And you hate to like really come to that conclusion, like, yo, did we really just like what happened just now that y'all saying Osama bin Laden's behind this? Fahrenheit 9/11 didn't do any justice towards our practic- practical reasoning because Michael Moore shows that and he proves that the bin Laden family was allowed to leave the United States. Wow. So the whole United States went on a lockdown, kind of like when COVID happened. And the only family out of all the families in the world, the only family that was allowed to fly was the bin Laden family. Now that's kind of crazy. Nonetheless, I only bring that up to say we was the more rational, reasonable, logical person is going to think, yo, we went after bin Laden, but we didn't. We went to Iraq. Crazy talk. I had heard rumors that when we got over there, the military immediately went to the museums, right? Like they wanted something out of the museums. I didn't believe it, but I'm hearing more and more authors talk about it. And I'm like, oh, wow. Authors from Iraq, they say it's true. They didn't burn down our museums, but they did come and get 30 valuable pieces and 14,000 lesser valuable pieces. Now, if that is true and I didn't believe that, then maybe the other part might be true too, that Saddam Hussein was going to tell the world the original story of creation. He never got a chance to anyway. But it took me some time to figure out the little that I figured out. And that's crazy because I've been on like a 20-year hunt, right? Just putting it together. Um, there's so many theories. Even people that write books, just because someone writes a book and get it published doesn't mean it's leading you in the right direction. So, and just because someone is your race and they're talking with authority, don't mean they leading you in the right direction. So, had to go through some hoops to try to really figure out what is going on. I definitely grew up and felt like, okay, something is not right with religion, right? So something is just off. A lot of this don't make sense. So recently, I've been coming across not a whole lot, like one or two words, maybe more, but enough to that was interesting enough for me to be like, yo, I really need to figure out the etymology of more words, right? Because some of them like really surprised me when you now I'm on this whole I need to know the etymology. And then when I get to the root word, I'm like, yo, that's kind of crazy right there. And you really be surprised. One of the words right now, one of the words, not to get off topic, I just did an etymology on dimensions, right? Because I'm studying something with frequency again. But it was really curious because it was really interesting. It wasn't curious. It was really interesting because when I got to the root of dimensions, it was to measure in both directions, right? But to measure in different directions. I'm definitely going to do a video on that. The short of that is this. This so when you go to the mystery schools and all of this, they definitely going to teach you about vibrations, right? Obviously, because you hear these keywords all the time. And obviously, I was in a mystery school, so definitely learned about vibrations. But they kind of really go in like it don't just be like surface level stuff. They really go deep into all the way from the metaphysical to the physical, right? When they start talking about vibrations and stuff like that. Obviously, you hear everything vibrates, everything moves. That being the case, when I look at the darkness of this world, I realize that they really, really want your vibration at a certain level. I don't know what that level is. I don't know what that number is. I just know it's a low vibration. And that's evident. Like you don't even need me to tell you that, or I shouldn't have to tell you that, right? Just look at the world. If I have to tell you that, or you skeptical about what I'm saying, like you is like it's some type of conspiracy theory, then look at what is allowed on this planet, right? What is promoted on this planet. The more and more shows I watch, I never thought I'd see the day I'm watching a show, and I always say they sneak it in because I really don't be expecting. Shoot, I don't be really expecting that much heterosexual sex. Nonetheless, homosexual sex, right? But what happens is they're gonna push the limit and they normalize and they normalize and they normalize. So what you see right now is a normalized porn, right? They put it out there to desensitize you to it happening, right? To the point where you just like, that's just it's just TV now. They do the same, they've been doing the same thing with violence. Social media, I actually was clinging on a little bit to um Instagram, but I just deleted that from my phone last week. Thanks to Rudy Lowe. Yeah. Rudy Lowe. It's a lot that this is why when I be telling you protect your conscience, I don't expect to see craziness on the Instagram. Salute to Big T TV in the building. So I turn on my Instagram while I'm at work. Rudy Lowe put up some post. Some dude is in the junkyard. Right? I don't know what he's about to do. I'm honestly thinking a dog is about to chase him. Right? That's the worst in my head. No, the dude pulls out something, starts playing with his backside right there in the park. I said, yo, I didn't want to see that. I said, you know what? You're going now. Now you're in the trash, Instagram. So if anybody's trying to reach me or leave me messages on Instagram, you're wasting your time. I'm not getting those messages. I'm in no rush to check none of that. Right? Because I really be wanting to protect my consciousness. I don't want to see certain things. I don't want to hear certain things. Right? You know how long ago I stopped getting in the car and just turning on the radio? My family hates riding with me because I can drive in silence a long time. It took me a long time to stop the white noise from in my head from happening. Now you say the white noise. What's the white noise? The white noise was just random conversations in my head. Just random conversation. It would just seem like it would just what happened yesterday. Always thinking. When I say random, all your mind is always going right there. Until I started putting in practice, I started reading books like Napoleon Hill. Well, authors like Napoleon Hill. Right? Napoleon Hill has a book called Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It's something. I'm gonna get the name for you right now. Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. That's the one. Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, and it's a book. If you can get the audio book, that's dope. Where he's having a conversation with the devil, right? Now, salute to Mac Mizzle in the building. And this guy Napoleon Hill, come on, he's decades before I probably was even born. You know what I'm saying? He's been doing this. So to read his book and see that he had authored something that I was actually dealing with, let me know, okay, then you're not the only one that's dealing with this, Jamel. Millions of people is dealing with this because the man wrote a book about it. And he's actually talking about how people don't control their thoughts. They just kind of like let their thoughts go roam free. And he's talked about that white noise that I was telling you about. Your thoughts is always going. But he also teaches you, he gives you some exercises to minimize that noise and control your mind. Don't let your mind just go and just go and go and go. But that's where we at today. The evidence is clear. People get up here on YouTube. I mean, that was wild, right? They just gave this sandbox to, they said, everybody come in and let's see what happens. And some people, they use the fire to make brick and mortar and build a house. And some people didn't know what to do with it and they just flung dung at each other, and they still doing it right now, right? And just like Splashing wanted to do bum fights, it's always, people are always going to watch um the lesser man entertain himself, right? So if people want to throw dung at each other, yeah, people are going to sit up in the bleachers and watch that and cheer them on. I just said I didn't want to be a part of that. Yeah. Splashing says migrant fights. he wanted he wanted me to correct. He said, no, not bum fights, Saladin, migrant fights. I hear you. Yes, Big TTV. That's what I'm talking about. You need that silence. You need that silence, man. So where we're at now and what they're just give me like 2 more minutes so I can close out my thoughts on this before we really get started, right? Because you have to know where we're headed. That's the obvious part, right? Um, Shout out to Peter Schiff, the economist. Always learning stuff from him. And if it wasn't for him, I would not have known that the United States does a revision every time they come out with a job report every month. And thanks to him, I am made aware of the hustle and the lies that this government tells when it comes to reporting how many jobs are available, right? So the gig is almost up. The jig is almost up where they keep on saying there's jobs, right? And then the next month they do this revision and they'll come and say, oh, last month it was 100,000 jobs available. And then the next month they'll be like, now only 80,000 of those wasn't jobs. So we taking 80,000 back, right? So it was only like 20,000 jobs that was available for people. And they've been doing this for like the past 5 months to people. So there's lies about the economy. And clearly they want to keep us entertained at any cost, at any cost. So if you are willing to play the game, if you're willing to not talk about the things that they don't want you to talk about, big pharma, big agriculture, right? Just kind of like play the game. The only problem with that is they're saying play the game as if you're going to be okay in the end. And I can tell you right now, you're not going to be okay in the end. I worked for a company that did artificial intelligence, and we created the automations, right? And we had a lot of clients, a lot of high end clients, low end clients. We had anybody you could probably name in business, they was our client at one point in time. If they're like top 500, right? All the names. We created automations for them. And most of these was conversational AIs. And this is before ChatGPT, this is before Gemini AI, this is before all of that. And I asked the owner, I said, do you think we putting ourselves out of a job? And he was like, no, not we. If anything, we're making more jobs. There's going to be tons of jobs. They always say that, but that don't even make sense, right? There's no way that could possibly be mathematically. I'm creating something that eventually will be cookie cut, so you don't, the whole thing is if I create an automation, it's not for my man next to me to start from scratch. That's what you're going to learn in AI. No, you're going to eventually take that model and then just build on top of that. So we don't need people to make anything from scratch anymore. We got all these templates and now we just add our own flavor to it. And the sad part is we forgetting that this is an automation. It does everything it's supposed to do everything without humans. So we're headed somewhere. They have already gave dates on, they call it sustainability goals. Um, they've invested a lot. If you cannot tell, by invested a lot, I mean not only money, but they sacrificed everything. People's lives was at stake, right? They was testing new things, new medicines, new procedures, new everything. They don't know how it's gonna work. Like there's only one way to find out. You cannot get omelets without breaking a few eggs, right? Point in case when they told everybody, yo, if you still want a job, you gotta go get the thing, right? They didn't know if we was all gonna do an uprising or all pull a Colin Kaepernick that day. But there was only one way to find out. And then when they seen, Oh, they ain't about to pull no Colin Kaepernick. Got him. Got him. They've been dumbing us down. I noticed this when I had a child and I'm looking at the work and they're literally telling me you cannot teach this way. And I'm like, they say you have to teach the math this way. And I'm looking at my wife. I'm frustrated. My wife is a straight arrow, so she's going to do exactly what they say. So I had to learn their stupid way of doing math so that I could teach my daughter the old way of doing math and the new way. And I said, listen, when you just want the answer, you doing what I tell you to do, right? And she said, Daddy, they're going to ask me to show them how I got the answer. I said, we still want to learn their way. But I'm telling you, this is the way right here. They showing you a way so that they can know your brain, know your thinking, frustrate you. I know what they're doing. It is dark. It is something that we've been told about in the Bible, right? Don't think because I don't have religion that I don't believe in the Bible. This book here was plagiarized, meaning it was taken from another civilization's. It was passed down. It was compounded. We're going to go over all of this. It's going to be in this here series because I would like to prove the work. So it's not whether this book here is worth anything. It is worth something. It's telling you what's going to happen. If you know how to read it, if you understand it, right? Once you understand the true story of where the words come from, then your heart might soften up to it, right? Because you don't feel like you're being tricked now. If somebody tells you something that you know is not true, then right away you just want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You say all of this is lies. And I see a lot of people do that with the Bible. They say all of it is lies. I say, oh, easy. Easy. There's a lot of virtue in it. There's a lot of principle in it. There's an algorithm in here that if you do follow it, you're going to be okay. The problem is it's branded by religion. And man himself cannot be trusted. I don't care if he's in a criminal justice capacity. I don't care if he's in a executive leadership capacity. I don't care if he's in a religious capacity. Man himself cannot be trusted. That's just that. So the ancients, and when I say ancient, I do mean a long time ago, thousands of years, past 10,000 years ago, to put a number on it, past 10,000, right? So to even think that you're a Messiah, there's been many Messiahs before you're a Messiah, right? Not to disrespect your Messiah, but the truth is there has been many Messiahs before your Messiah. Shout out to observing the facts. And the fact is, people see how religion controls people and what they can get out of it. So if I can scare you into giving up, I mean, really, it's a racket, right? If I can get you to give, I don't need you to give me all your money. if I got 10,000 people, I just need 10% of what you got. And that would change everything. And then we need to make this an authority, right? We need to make this a mandate, an edict, which don't believe me, just look at history. That's all you have to do if you think I'm lying. But we will not go off of that. So, as I said, I started looking at the etymology of things. I don't even know what led me down this road. Oh, dimensions. That's what led me down this road. Talking about what I'm talking about now. So when I started talking about dimensions and we're talking about vibrations, then when I looked up the word dimensions, I said, oh, every time you measure up or down, and you on the scale, you go down, you go up, that's a different dimension. You're in a different dimension. But for some reason, for some strange reason, nobody wants you to be at a high dimension on this earth. Well, we do, but there's something we can't explain it, right? This is where we come with our conspiracy theories. We start saying it's the Illuminati, it's the Masons, and all the black Masons is looking at you with the Scooby Doo face, like it's me. You sure it's me? Because I would like free. I want to be free too. You sure it's me? Well, if it ain't you, who is it? It's the Skull and Bones. It's the World Economic Forum. It's the UN. It's that conversation is so large, right? And I could sit back and just say, wow, where do I start? Listen, bro, it's kind of like when your room is messy as a kid, and you can sit there all day. It's not going to clean itself, right? Sit there all day and look at it. Or you could just get started, right? I should just say to my brother, let's just get started, bro. Let's just get started. People outside, all I hear is that ice cream truck outside and that basketball bouncing, right? And the longer we sit here and look at this room and be stubborn and not clean it, the longer we're not going outside, right? So we could keep going in that circle of it's the Masons, it's the Illuminati. All right, we could do that, right? It's the Jews. We could do that, or we could just start cleaning the house, right? Start somewhere. Start somewhere. So I go back as far as I can go. I say let's go back there. Like let's never mind religion. Let's go back before the religions that we know. And that's what we're doing right now. Now, last night I left off at a word, Ivri. And this word was used to describe Hebrews in the Bible. So instead of saying Hebrews, they would say Ivri. So I want to show you a particular case. Well, actually, I had it up there. But I actually want to show you first. Okay, let's go here. You can blow that up. There we go. Now, what is this? This is Genesis chapter 14, and I'm going to go down to the 14th. No, I'm going to go down to the 13th verse. And it says, there came one that had escaped, and he told Abram the Hebrew For he dealt in the plane of, I'm not really focused on everything after the semicolon, right? Because I'm just trying to make a point here how translation gets lost and has been lost on so many, that really hurts people. When not only when translation is lost, but when translation is purposely changed. Now, I come from the old school where all I ever knew was the King James version, right? And then somewhere in my teenage years, I would go to Bible study and then they would have you see people pop up with the fancy new Bible and all that. It's called the New King James Version, right? And I would take a listen, I would take a gander at this here New King James, and I say, man, that ain't like you changing the words. Who gave you the authority to change the words? Right? And now we way past New King James. Now they got it's all type of Bibles out here that just change the words, right? Now this is before I knew that King James changed the words. So I was taking offense, right? Back in those days. I'm like, yo, how you just gonna change the words? Change the meaning to what you say it means. Not knowing King James had done this very same thing. So this is why I asked last night, how long do it take to indoctrinate the people? Because if you keep changing the words for over, let's say every 100 years, let's just say that. Because the next generation may not care, but they daggone sure not going to remember. Right? They would have to be a special, especially in today's time. You got to be a special child. But in 200 years, listen, your mother's dead, you dead, your children are dead. Your great grands may be alive. They probably gonna be dead or old. And then they're gonna still be changing words. So at some point during our lifetime, I say, well, stop. This is why I looked up Shemitic last night. How old is the word Shemitic? Oh, Shemitic is only 150 years old. Shemitic is only 150 years old. The word, yeah. Oh, that's deplorable. They out here using the word like it's been around forever. Yeah. So what else been changed? Everything. So this is the English version, right? The Hebrew Bible now. Get away into the Hebrew Bible now. Hebrew Bible. And remind you, I'm not staying up here long. I done told y'all. 1 hour. Ivri. Now, this is what you're going to read in the Hebrew Bible. Ivri is used in the Hebrew Bible to regard a specific people that are directly connected to Abraham, right? It could be Hebrew. More than likely, that's what they're going to tell you, right? If you ask any other rabbi except Rabbi Shmuley. Shmuley going to tell you the same thing. I just don't want you to ask Rabbi Shmuley nothing. Rabbi Shmuley needed a vacation. He needed to get his head screwed on tight. This is how it's going to read in the Hebrew Bible. Then one who had escaped came and told Abraham the Ivri. Now, what you're saying to yourself is, well, if they both mean Hebrew, what is the big deal? The big deal is that they don't both mean Hebrew. Hebrew means Hebrew, and Ivri, when you get into the etymology of it, has a little bit more to the root word. Now, I'm not saying that any this was done maliciously to hide anything. Let's not jump there first. The point is, it does mean something else. So let the people know it also means this, so that we could come to our own interpretation or understanding, or you can give us your interpretation. But when you keep it away, it seems like you hiding something. So the deeper meaning that is linked to the Ivri is also crossing over or migrating. Now, this interpretation could be geographical, cultural, or metaphorical. I don't know. What I do know is the amount of people that are unaware that Ivri is associated with another meaning and concept is a large number. But I'm not surprised, because just because people are Jewish don't mean that they're gonna get the truth. Just because you're Muslim don't mean that's what you thought. You thought because you're Muslim you're gonna get the truth. Because you're Jewish you're gonna get the truth. Because you're Christian. No, all of the institutions are gonna tell you what they want to tell you. It's not that nobody knows within that institution. Somebody knows. But when the frame, listen to me, when the framework changes, then they are obedient. You got to listen to me, especially if you truly believe that the Most High is the head of this institution, of this group. Then they're gonna say, I'm gonna listen to God. And if the assignment has changed and we no longer on that path, this is the new assignment. And people, they deliver this blindly in the name of God. Just in case you want to know, why would somebody do that? I just told you why they would do it. In the name of God. They feel like whoever is at the head is God sent. And if that person at this head said, yo, this is what we teaching now, this is the definition, it has been given to me that this is the true definition of this here by God himself, most people are not going to challenge that. They're going to kill you before, literally kill you. I don't mean like figuratively. I mean they will gut you at the gas station, Jack, for questioning their imam, for questioning their pastor, for questioning their rabbi. Don't do it. There's a lot of zealots out here. Wild Country Updates. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. We just here still sharpening steel. We got like 20 more minutes. Let's get through this. Because I really do want to get to the meat and potatoes. So not only is this word associated with cross, and there's no big, I don't think at the end of this I'm gonna give you some big revelation like, oh, they crossed over and this was the answer right here. No. I just thought y'all should know. I am going to speak more about crossing over, because why is that? What meaning does Ivri and the association of it being associated with Hebrew and crossing over and migrating, what does that it has something to do with something. So yes, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not claiming it would be some great revelation, but I would like to talk about crossing over from what? Why are you not mentioning it? Right? Now, what I found interesting, though, that there was another connection. The etymology of Ivri is often linked to the Hebrew root. Listen to this. ABR, which can be associated with the concept of crossing over or passing through. Root meaning, the root generally means to cross over or to pass through. This root is thought to reflect the idea of crossing a boundary, whether it be geographical, cultural, or metaphorical. Cultural significance. The term Ivri is traditionally understood to reflect Abraham's journey through Mesopotamia to Canaan, symbolizing a crossing of borders and a migration to a new land. The journey is seen as a significant act of faith and transition, which aligns with the root meaning of the term. Now, I would love to go more into that, right? Like, I really do want to. That right there actually makes me want to have a Bible class, like right there, right? And maybe I will go into a little bit of it, not a lot, right? Give me a second. All right. Genesis 12. We had to read this anyway because you would not understand the crossing over and the migration unless I read this anyway. So it didn't make any sense for me to try to avoid it. Genesis chapter 12. Now, I've always found this interesting. I love this part, right? I could probably read this whole part, this over and over again. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out. His name is Abram at this point. It is not yet Abraham. Get thee out of thy country and thy kindred and thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. Now, if you're trying to ask, like, you just curious of where his father's house is, it is of the Chaldees, which is right there. Which, if you can see, he's in Mesopotamia, right? He's in very close to Sumer, Akkad, right? Boom. He's in Mesopotamia. That's where his father's from. Of the Chaldees. So he's telling, now the Lord had said. At this point, we don't know who the Lord is, so we just chalking it up to the Most High God. It don't say the Most High God, but that's who we chalking it up to. In this Bible, they use the Lord plenty of times where they just talking about angels, right? When Lot was at the gate of Sodom, I don't know why Lot was at the gate of Sodom. It does never say, but it definitely says he was at the gate of Sodom, just chilling, right? I don't know why you was even hanging around that joint, bro. But that's a whole nother conversation. Don't get me started on Lot. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and thy kindred and from thy father's house and unto. So he says thy country. So we know for a fact, do we not, that Abram is from Mesopotamia, Babylonia, that whole area there. Sumer. Anyway, he says, and from thy father's house unto a land I will show thee. He don't really say in that verse where. He just say unto a land that I will show thee. Just go. And I will make thee a great nation. I will bless thee and make thy name great. And thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, I'm not going to lie. What I love about this right here is God is testing him just to see, like, all right, I'm just giving you instruction right now. Is you going to do it? Is you not going to do it? He didn't really he didn't gas him up. Yo, son, I got a plan. Yo, we gonna come off. He didn't do all of none of that. Well, he did do that, but he didn't tell him the whole plan. He said, yo, you're gonna be good. It's one of them joints, right? Yo, I got a lick. Yo, what is it? Yo, you're gonna be good. Huh? You're gonna be good. You just gotta leave where you just leave there right now. And you're gonna be blessed. He didn't even tell him where. He said, I'll show you on the way. I'll tell you the plan once you leave. I'll show you where you're supposed to be going. Now, this Ivri, we're going to get to it later. But I do think, because now in the modern interpretation, listen to me. In modern interpretation, if you're going to ask a rabbi, whoever, and they say, yeah, I was watching Jamal Saladin and he's bringing up the word Ivri, he's going to tell you it's another word for Hebrew, right? Which I cannot argue with him. All I'm telling you is there was a deeper root meaning to the word before it was just Hebrew. And I would like to get to the point in this whole series where we talk about, and when was it decided that Yah was going to say, when was that written? We're going to go over that too. When was that decided? And when was it written? Okay. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram, let me just read this next part. And Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, his nephew, and all their substance that they had gathered in the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Now, if you don't know, I'm going to just let you know right now. Exactly, Splashing. If you don't know, I'm going to let you know right now. Canaan was renamed. It's really Palestine. This is how this war between the people who call themselves the Jews, because I'm not getting into that tonight. But this war between the people in Palestine and the Hebrews has been going on a long time, but you're going to find out why. I'm not going to say tonight, but if you finish my series, because I'm already at 48 minutes, you finish the whole thing when I'm done with it, then you'll know why. And Abraham passed through the land into a place of Sichem and unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. So he's not a Canaanite. We got that. I already showed you where he's from. And there's already Canaanites in the land. And then the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed, listen to this part right here. Now, I'm a numbers guy, so it's just crazy that it's not crazy. Crazy as cap. But coincidentally, I'm looking at this verse 7 and I'm like, Is it the seventh verse for no reason at all? Or is it coincidental? Anyway, and the Lord appeared unto Abram unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. Just stop right there. I told you yesterday, before Abraham, there was no such thing as the Hebrews. So without really knowing a true definition of Hebrew, we just have to chalk it up to the descendants of Abraham. Like that is the best definition you're going to get to understand. And Abraham did do a crossover. So I'm not saying this is the only crossover he did. Like we just going to take it one step at a time. He was from Mesopotamia. We're going to see in a few, we're going to look into Mesopotamia and get into their business. And then it said the Lord told him to get up out of there. Beat your feet, man. He didn't really tell him where to go. He said, I'll tell you on the way. Right? He said, unto a land that I will show thee. He didn't really tell him, unto a land that I will show you. So as he's out here with his whole posse, everything is on the line. Everything is on the line. That is called faith. That is called faith. There's going to be things I can't tell you how to react to when you truly hear the voice of God. There's going to be things that you can hear. He ain't talking to me. The Most High Spirit ain't talking to me. The Most High Spirit is talking to you. So I could tell you how I would do it on earth and say, yo, bro, I wouldn't do it like this, that, and the third. But something in your spirit, because you've been exercising, you've been actually seeking out the Most High's help. You've been crying for the Most High. The Most High's Spirit is real. Let me tell you that. All of this is frequency. So if you think for 1 second that the Most High's that Most High Spirit don't exist, then I say you tripping, and you're gonna miss out. But it's like you don't see a friend in since first grade, right? And then when you 25, you in the pizza shop. Now, if they know your picture or whatever like that, they may be like, yo, Mike? Like if they see a picture, but if they just talking, you're not gonna know their voice. Why are you not gonna know their voice? You're not gonna know their voice because you ain't been around them, you ain't spending no time with them. You just don't know. It is literally the same thing with the Most High. And I'm not supposed to be talking about, I'm supposed to be talking about something else right now. But I figure I'd do this. It is literally the same thing. If you don't know the presence of the Most High, it's probably because your own fault. It ain't like the Most High is hiding. It's you. You are too busy. You got other things to do. You are indulging in all type of other frequencies that is not. The Most High ain't gonna lower itself to your low standards. That's not gonna happen. So you have to find a way to raise your elevation. Right? The more you start spending more time with a person, then you know their ways, you definitely gonna know their voice. You're definitely going to know their voice. I'm going to assume Abraham knew the voice enough to trust him. Like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we doing that. And he removed from thence unto a mount. I don't need to read that part right there. All right, let's go back to the slide. Let's go back to the slide. All right, let's get back into this etymology of Ivri. It says the root ABR. What I found is interesting is that I said, why is this a real thing where ABR is connected to the crossover, but Abram's, like the first three letter in Abraham is ABR, right? Then it is actually, I'm looking for the exact word, but this be happening to me often. When I'm looking for the word, it don't come to my mind. So acronym. Then it is actually an acronym. So the A, apparently, if I don't pronounce this right, Hebrews, do not make fun of me. A, which stands for, would be ayin, a constant with a range of meanings related to sight and perception. B, bet, a constant often associated with the idea of a house or inside, right? And maybe I'm thinking, what, the house of Abraham? The house of the Hebrews, right? Just like you have the house of Versace, house of this and house of that. Maybe. And the R, resh, a constant with meanings related to head or leadership. I said this can't be no coincidence, man. This can't be no coincidence. There's a lot we don't know. Now, as a Christian, I'm not a Christian, by the way. But if I was at this point, there's no way in the world you could not get me from studying more Hebrew or Judaism, because my religion literally came from Judaism, amongst other things, right? Because now we got to figure out where Judaism come from, but we'll get there without rushing. Because it is a Russian dollhouse. I will tell you that right now. It's a Russian dollhouse. One religion came from the next religion, which came from the next religion, which came from the next. I think we spoke about this last night. Where we at? We had 2 more minutes. The Israelites, they, can you blame them? They had a hard life. They was up and down, up and down. So they weren't always monotheistic. We went over this last night. If you did not see last night's show, please go check out part 1. We did talk about YHWH being a tetragrammaton. Tetra means 4, grammaton means letters. So usually when you see that, if you have seen that YHWH, people pronounce that as Yahweh. I am who I am, Yahweh. Or the Lord, right? The Lord God. You see that a lot. You see that in the, let me see if I can find that. I won't waste too much time. If I can't find it right away, then I'm not. But you do see that in the Bible, and you're like, why does it say the Lord God? And that's okay. I can't find it right now. I'm not going to waste your time right now. But you see the Lord God. You say, why is it? Because of translation. When they wrote down the translation, it might have said Yahweh Elohim. We went over last night how the Elohim, another word that has been changed to mean whatever that the new body of representation for these religions wanted to mean. Is that what it meant originally? Well, no, obviously not, because we learned that Hebrew words ending in I am grammatically represent plural words. But to confuse, I'm not going to say to confuse people, for whatever reason, they wanted it singular, right? Because of the brand itself, right? It's not a it's not a polytheistic religion. It's a monotheistic religion. So therefore, no matter what that word say, we have to make sure it represents one God. No matter what it say, we have to make sure because this is our bread and butter. This is how this thing is big. This ain't no small religion now, Jack. This thing is worldwide. So people tell little white lies, right? Somebody got to be the bad guy. Somebody had to be the bad guy and say, you know what though, for previously in ancient times it had meant that, but nowadays, and that's what you're going to hear. You don't usually hear people just straight lying. What they do is they say, well, now today it's usually, that's the key word, it's usually represented as a singular term. That's okay. What I want your brain to think about is, wait, so it wasn't a singular term before? That's what I want you to think about. It wasn't a singular term before? Why wasn't it a singular term? That's what I want you to think about. Now, last night we spoke about the divide of Israel, and I don't know if we went over this story. We did go over this story. I told you about how King Solomon, he taxed the heck out of the people just to build those temples. And then he died, and then his son took over. And then when his son took over, instead of really changing, he could have changed things. He decided, I'm going to follow my father's footsteps, and I'm going to continue with the heavy taxation and the heavy construction. And the people, they wasn't feeling that, right? And one of King Solomon's old advisors, he actually stood up for the people. Was like, yo, it ain't going down like that. Right? So then you had ten tribes on one side, which is the kingdom of Israel, and they followed King Solomon's son. Rehoboam, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And then the trusted advisor, his name was Jeroboam. So you had two tribes go with him. One of those tribes was Judah. So they called that side the kingdom of Judah, and the side that went with Rehoboam, though that was the kingdom of Israel. Now, this is where things get mighty interesting. Because both tribes, both groups eventually get sacked by bigger civilizations. And I know I ran out of time, but I'm already here. So I'll let you know when I'm going to cut off. Both sides get sacked by bigger, stronger civilizations. The kingdom of Israel, they get sacked by the Assyrians in 722 BCE. Allegedly. Allegedly. It takes the kingdom of Judah, they out there a little bit longer. They out there a little bit longer. Let's read what I got here. King Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon. Do I want to read that yet? Let me see something. No. I don't want to read that yet. I don't want to read that yet. Because I want you to understand something. That's why I don't want you to read that yet. And in my slides, I probably explain this maybe a few slides down. But if I don't, I want to tell you this. Because this right here, what I'm about to talk about, has a lot to do with everything. So you got the Assyrians from Mesopotamia. They come and they pretty much, let's use capture the kingdom of Israel, right? They under their control. You living with us now, right? You're gonna follow our laws. Now, sometimes when another civilization they take you over, they don't always like tell you what gods to serve, this, that, and the third. But now you are in their culture, right? So I want us to think a little bit. And I asked you the other night, how many years does it take to indoctrinate the people, right? So if you around the people for 100 years, 200 years, do you not think you're going to take on some of their ways? Now, I'm asking you this because the main religions of the Assyrians and the Babylonians were ancient Sumerian religions. They worship the gods of ancient Sumeria. Marduk, Enki, Enlil, Ninhursag. Which both groups, right? So I can see if it was just one group. No. It was both groups. Fell to a stronger civilization. The kingdom of Judah, they was exiled to Babylonia. So they got caught. They was actually caught in Canaan and they got dragged back to Babylonia. That's kind of nuts. That's kind of crazy. Right? You was somewhere in a whole nother land minding your business. They came and got you. They came and got the Jews. It was like, nah, y'all actually coming with us. Where we going? Oh, we going back to Babylonia. What? Now imagine all that work. I'm just going according to this story. I'm going according to this story. I didn't say I believe this story. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if I believe this story or not. I'm telling you how the story goes. Let's read a little bit of this. King Cyrus the Great, Persia, conquered Babylon on October 29, 539 BCE. Yeah, splash and read. The Jews was under Babylonian rule for about 48 years from the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BCE until the fall of Babylon to Cyrus the Great. Now we're going to talk about Cyrus the Great later. We're going to talk about him later. Conquest of Babylon. Cyrus the Great's conquest of Babylon was relatively peaceful as the city fell to him without significant resistance. This was in part due to the internal unrest within Babylon and dissatisfaction with the rule of the Babylonian king. Okay. Decree for the Jews. This is important. After the conquest, Cyrus issued a decree allowing the exiled Jews to return to their homeland and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This decree is recorded in the Hebrew Bible and in the book of Ezra and historical records such as the Cyrus cylinder. Now, this is what I want to say. This is what actually happened. This got crazy. I can't move on until we get this part right here. And then I could probably end the show, but I'm not. I'm going to keep on going. I know this. So that we understand this divide, right? We already understand why the divide happened. 10 tribes go over here, 2 tribes go over there. They both ended up getting captured by stronger civilizations that these civilizations, their main religion, I need you to understand this. Both of them, the Assyrians and the Babylonians, their main religion is what? Their main religions are Sumerian religions. Now you could do the math. They say that the Assyrian, the northern tribe fell 722 BCE. So that's close to, that's definitely 100 years and change before. And the reason I'm saying this is this. What happened was this. The Babylonians ended up taking over the Assyria. Right? So at one point, Babylonian had all the Jews. This is what I want you to understand. First, the Assyrians took over 10 tribes. Right? That happened for a few hundred years. Then the Babylonians came and went to Canaan, snatched those Jews up, right? They was out there doing whatever they was doing, interrupted the whole party. Y'all coming with us. Nah, chill. Y'all coming with us. Right? Then the Babylonians was still on the quest. And then they took over the Assyrians, who had already had the 10 tribes. So now guess who's back together again? Like freaking frack. The whole 12 tribes. Whether they like it or not. Because I'm pretty sure they was beefing amongst themselves. Right? Yes, that part is true. Splash. A lot of them was displaced when the Assyrians came. But the ones that stayed, right? You had some that stayed, but Splashing is right. A lot of them, they did not stick around when the Assyrians came. They took off. They went up north. They broke out. Which got me to thinking. I said, yo, well, maybe they not capping, right? Maybe they really do come from Shem. I don't believe my lineage is from Shem. I believe if this story is true, my lineage come from Ham. But maybe they not capping. Maybe they really do come from Shem. But they when the Assyrians came, when the Assyrians came in, they took off, right? And they ended up in the mountains learning Yiddish, right? They started a whole new language and all that. I'm just freestyling right now. I'm not saying this happened. This is not recorded. This is me going off on a rant. I'm just saying what could possibly happen. Because when they was taken over by the Assyrians, not everybody stuck around. Some of them definitely went up. They went and dispersed and went all type of different ways. Right? But what I'm saying, I'm telling you, the Babylonians eventually took over the Assyrian civilization. They beat them out. So now, naturally, now all the Jews that stayed, who they under now? Well, they under the Babylon. Now, this is before I move on. I want you to seriously think about what type of culture was they exposed to during this period of time. And I want you to seriously ask yourself and give yourself an answer. What type of culture and civilization were these people exposed to? Because I could pretty much tell you they learned a lot. And they was exposed to much, including religion, right? This would not have been the first time these Hebrews decided to Judges 2:11. Then the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord and served the Baals. This would not have been the first time that the Israelites decided, you know what, I'm in this land now. I'm gonna just when in Rome, right? When in Rome, when in Sumer, when in Babylon. This would not be the first time that the Israelites just decided, yeah, I'll give your God a try. Your God like. This wouldn't be the first time. You know what's funny? You see the word Sadducees and you see the word Pharisees in the Bible, right? Did you know that the Sadducees and the Pharisees, as those two groups, did not exist before the divide, the split? Did you know that? I'm gonna end at 125. So we see Sadducees in the Bible, we see Pharisees in the Bible, and again, we thinking they was probably there for a long time. They did not exist before the divide. These groups emerged much later during the Second Temple period, which began after the Babylonian exile and the return to Jerusalem around the 6th century. Now we're going to get to, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about the return of the return, because what happened was King Cyrus let the Babylonians, King Cyrus let the Jews go back to Jerusalem, right? But King Cyrus, his main religion was Zoroastrianism. So, what do we have before I end this show tonight? We got a group of people called the Ivri, because they migrating and they crossing over. Today we call them the Hebrews. They are known to flip flop and take, like, if they get captured, they praising your God. They are down with praising other people's gods. They with that. Which leads me to believe that they would definitely, without hesitation, start to adopt some of the Sumerian ways, some of the Babylonian ways, without a doubt. Anyway, we know this to be true, and I'm going to prove that. So I'm not asking you, I'm telling you what they did. It can't be disputed because I got the proof. I'm just breaking down for you guys how it happened. How did these Jews start adopting Babylonian ways? So at some point, King Cyrus said, yeah, I could go back to Jerusalem. But do y'all think they went without adopting some of the things they learned from Zoroastrianism, the things that they learned from Babylonian customs? The answer is no. Now, when they did do the split, I mean, when they did go back, now you have different groups that think they should. Now you're going back to Jerusalem, right? Who's going to be in charge? I think this is where you get your Pharisees and Sadducees now. Now, here's the main difference between, as I end my show. The Pharisees begin to emerge as a distinct group during the Hasmonean period around the 2nd century BC. They became more prominent during the later Second Temple period, especially after the Maccabean revolt. We'll talk about the Maccabean revolt. I don't mind talking about the Maccabean revolt. And the establishment of the Hasmonean dynasty. Their emphasis on the, listen, their emphasis on the oral Torah, right, and detailed legal interpretations developed over time. So they mainly focus on the oral part of things. You had the Sadducees. The Sadducees became a prominent group during the second temple period, particularly from the 2nd BCE onwards. They were closely associated with the priestly class in the temple in Jerusalem. Their influence was significant during the time of Roman occupation. Let me see. I wanna end here because I actually want to elaborate on some things, right? So let me break this down a little bit more. Your Pharisees were more closer to the people, more common man, right? But they were people who focused more on the oral tradition, right, of the Torah. But your Sadducees, they was more, not just priestly. That's not the word but they. I don't want to say they thought they was better than everybody else, but it was like an air of royalty and upper class. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Right? There's the air of upper class to the Sadducees. and they more focused on the written law of God, right? Now, as we end here tonight, because I'll pick up tomorrow and we do the same thing again, because I don't really want to rush this, and this is not even about views, right? I know there's like 3 or 4 people who truly want to understand and just enjoy the history of it all. And because me, I always wanted to go to a yeshiva. So even if I'm not giving you the top quality notch yeshiva teachings, um, I will definitely do my best not to freestyle and just go off on and if I do, I'm going to tell you I'm freestyling right now. This is not written, right? This is not the true history. Until I say unsidebar, that's probably me just freestyling. But I want to elaborate on this a little bit more. When we come back tomorrow, we're going to talk about the roles of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And I already told you they did not exist before the divide. So my point is this: they spent all those years under captivity, under different cultures, right? Learning different things, hearing different things. And then they're released. And now they want to write and they want to teach. My question to you is, do you think that any of what they experienced rubbed off on their teachings? I asked you at the beginning of this, how long does it take to indoctrinate a people, right? These people fell to the Assyrians in 722, and they wasn't released totally until 539. So we're talking 200 years roughly of being 200 years of being around people who praise Marduk and Enki and Enlil. You want to talk about magic? I'm more inclined to think that the magic from those days, from the Sumer days, was way stronger, right? So God knows what these people learn. Then they get free, and now they want to teach. Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about what they taught. And this will be the introduction of the Talmud, right? Because you got 2 Talmuds now. But we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Talk about it tomorrow. I wasn't even supposed to be here this long. What time is it? 8:30? All right. Yo, Splashing, what's the name of that show you told me not to get off the topic like that, but what's the name of that show you told me to watch? I was looking for it. Now, thank you. All right, so we got the Poker Face Society medicine cabinet. Splashing has been dropping a link on that. If you're watching the replay, you could actually go to the medicine cabinet and it's in the description. You understand? Um, I ain't pushing you to go because you're gonna come by. You're gonna come by the medicine cabinet. You know how I know? Because this world is wicked and they always announce what they're about to do, right? So they announced to us they was coming out with a virus before, and they already have been explaining what they about to start doing again. And then you will be knocking on. So, what you was saying is good for respiratory. Then I'm gonna be like, yo, right over there, marshmallow leaf. It's gonna dry up all the mucus in your body. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take that with a little bit of euthanasia, do what you do. Mm-hmm. I just want you to know where the link is at, right? Just want you to know where the link is at. All right, that being said, thanks for rocking out with your boy. I'm tired. I'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do it again, right? Hope you enjoyed whatever I gave. We might have 2 more shows in this, but definitely 1 more. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. All right? Peace out. Take care.